What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO's down 2.49% pre-market. So I feel like NIO just cannot catch a break. During the overnight though, it was settling roughly around that 366. A lot of volume. So as far as overnight, he was getting almost like 1 million shares being traded. During the pre-market, it's top 10. So definitely a lot of institutions are paying attention to it. And there's a lot of things, good and bad, coming out this morning. So the market's kind of digesting all that. One is this right here. So weekly registration numbers did come in as a whole 6530. Breakdown is 3840 for NIO. So that's kind of good for a week over week. Still not necessarily where the market would ideally like to see that, but week over week improvements, definitely moving towards that goal. Envo 1560. I feel like Envo still lagging a little bit. Firefly is gaining more and more traction. I feel like week over week it was stagnant though, so 1130. So let me know your viewpoint on that. So I feel like in my opinion, this is one attributing factor why NIO is essentially lagging. And it goes to show that they kind of are struggling, because you do see the other Chinese EVs really improving. And one of which is this right here. So BYD, this is causing Chinese EVs during the pre-market to get hit because BYD is slashing their prices. Their end goal is to take market share from Tesla. Unfortunately, NIO and others are going to be kind of the byproduct of that. They're just going to get hit. So even though BYD already does have, I think it's like 30 something percent market share in China, they want to take kind of Tesla's portion of that. So definitely you're seeing a lot of battles, and most likely over the next couple of years, you are going to continue to see that increased competition. And this is why a lot of companies don't even want to enter into the Chinese market. It's just cutthroat. So at the end of the day, this is also one thing that's causing NIO and other Chinese EVs to go down this morning. And then aside from that though, you did have a new rating. It was posted early this morning, and it was a 590 by Morgan Stanley, Tim, who has a 39% success rating. So definitely good to see given where NIO is at 372 during the pre-market. But over the last 3 months, you do have a consensus for the ratings, $5.07, and that does represent a 32.72% upside from these from the current price. So definitely a lot of back and forth, like I said today, some good, some bad. So analyst rating definitely fairly optimistic, and even in general, the last couple, given where NIO is at, is considered fairly optimistic, right? Because the lowest rating was this done by Barclays 2 months ago, a $4 sell. So with it where it is now, definitely could be seen as a value play. I know on a technical standpoint, it's definitely very oversold, but then again, that kind of does happen to NIO from time to time, just gets excessively overbought and then oversold. It's a lot of manipulation. But as far as shorts, they're not doing anything this morning. So in the past, again, if history repeats itself, whenever they don't do anything, they tend to want to double down once the market does open. So that means they will be buying puts. Thus, that way they can benefit from the puts and really bring NIO down. So during the overnight, it was sitting roughly around that 366-ish. So just anticipate it to kind of gravitate towards there, in my opinion. And a couple of things I wanted to share with you. So I brought this up in the past, and you have seen a abnormal amount ever since I think it was like Tuesday of last week. You did see a lot of abnormal transactions being done on the Darkpool after hours, even on Friday. So you have right here 5 million shares, $19.1 million in one transaction. So you have that. You also have 3.57 million and then 3.2. So begs the question, does big money, and have they over the last week known that NIO is going to go down for various kind of reasons, right? So there's been a lot of things really plaguing NIO. It's getting a little bit frustrating coming from an investor standpoint, but do you think that big money knows ahead of time that, for instance, let's say BYD was going to slash prices? Do you think that they potentially knew about maybe lackluster results from the weekly sales. So what's your viewpoint on that? But as far as today with it at 373, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 384 is going to be that absolute key point that you really want to watch for NIO to get back above. If not, if it closes below that, then anticipate a further downtrend to roughly around that 329. Like I said, all NIO needs is a good catalyst, and then essentially it can go up because it is very, very oversold and due for, in my opinion, a nice push higher. But it is still, from what I can see, a little bit in the consolidation phase, and it did fail to hold that 380 range. So unfortunately, it does signal that you're going to see a significant pullback. So NIO is breaking on a technical standpoint, so it really is frustrating in reality to keep just mentioning why NIO is going down. It just needs a catalyst, and with their earnings coming up, maybe that might be it, but it is definitely a very frustrating stock to own. So let me know your thoughts on pretty much everything that I mentioned. So the new analyst rating, which is fairly optimistic, mind you. You have BYD and then the weekly registration numbers. What's your viewpoint on those? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Discord, completely free. A lot of good people talking about stocks, options, crypto, everything that you ever need in life. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.